Money FM 89.3. Best of breakfast. Mind your business. Only on Money FM 89.3.
Welcome to Mind Your Business. I'm Ahmad Akhtar. AI is rapidly redefining what's possible across every industry, but with that opportunity comes new responsibility. As AI becomes more embedded in enterprise systems, the urgency to establish robust governance frameworks and ensure resilient, trustworthy data has never been greater. So how do organizations future-proof themselves in this fast-evolving AI landscape? How do they balance innovation with accountability? Let's find out with our next guest, who's at the forefront of this digital evolution. David Irecki, Chief Technology Officer for Asia Pacific and Japan at Boomi, joins us this morning. How are you, David?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. First and foremost, tell us a little bit about your company. What does Boomi do? What services do they offer?
So you can think of Boomi as the connective tissue across an organisation's digital landscape. So we specialise in integration and automation, data management and API management, making it really easy for enterprises to unify their data across the cloud and on-premise. And for AI to work well, you need that seamless, secure and scalable access to data, and that is where Boomi excels.
Okay. What's your perspective on the current phase of AI adoption across enterprises in the Asia-Pacific region?
I think we're seeing a very distinct shift from experimentation to purposeful deployment, not just generative AI, but especially more agentic AI. And they're looking to do that at scale, particularly in customer engagement and supply chain optimization. But that said, the maturity curve still very significantly. Many companies are still wrestling with foundational challenges like data quality, integration and governance before they're even able to adopt those AI capabilities into their business.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about governance. I did a bit of an experiment this morning with ChatGPT, and I prompted it with this question: how effective is AI on a scale of 1 to 10? The results were rather interesting. On a general knowledge basis, it rated itself an 8. Business automation was 9. Healthcare was a 7 to 9. Creative work was a 7.5. Decision making and ethics, though, David, was a 4 to 6 out of 10. And that's how it rated itself. What do you make of that and what it shows about the state of AI governance across the board?
Well, I think firstly, it's an interesting scenario to test out, and it's interesting some of the figures it's provided back, because it's exactly right. I think, it's not just about the data, but it's around putting in frameworks into your business that will provide a way of using AI in a responsible and ethical way. And a lot of that, again, is based on biases inherent in the business. So if you're in HR, as an example, you may have inherent ways of hiring people that you may unconsciously not understand, but AI picks up on that. And those are some of the biases and things that AI isn't able to filter out without having a human in the loop, being able to understand that data, prepare it in the right way, and equally provide context to that agent. And context becomes very, very important, because if you're asking AI some of these questions without providing some sort of extra frame of reference or other information, it can actually provide an answer that's not relevant to your business as well.
So how does Boomi facilitate on the governance front?
So there's a couple of things. There's the foundational layer, which I touched on at the beginning, connecting your systems, automating your business processes, ensuring you have that data liquidity, but also data quality to get that right data to the AI at the right time and place, and doing that in a secure fashion, typically via APIs. But that's the front end of preparing your business for these AI systems. Once you have some of these systems in your business, equally you want a strong governance layer in place. You want to have a capability that provides greater observability, understands what agents are running in your organization, who's using them, what data they're being accessed to, and if there are any anomalies like hallucinations, being able to kill those AI agents off. And that's a holistic end-to-end AI governance capability that Boomi provides.
Okay, can you walk us through some use cases, some real-world examples of how customers have used Boomi to transform their operations?
Again, if I go back to the retail use case, it's a really good one for us because enhancing customer experience really fits, especially agentic AI. So how do we take existing chatbots that interact with our customers as a retailer, add an agent onto that to maybe hyper-personalize that engagement? So when I am browsing the website, I'm logged in, the agent understands my purchasing history because it's integrated into the CRM and other technologies within a business, and understands that this is your typical buying pattern, this is what you purchased, this is what you do seasonally, and the agent's able to offer you more personalized scenarios. Or we take supply chain as another example where you might be looking to ship goods because that purchase has been made from that retailer as an example, but on that day you don't know that DHL, as an example, has delays. So having an agent as part of that process that can automatically call out in real time to DHL, to FedEx, to other carriers, and come back into that process automatically and say, at this point in time, this carrier is at the best price with the best delivery, and we're going to go with them. So it's finding those use cases within your business that you can agentify and turn into something more than it was before.
Okay, any particular challenges that some of your customers have raised to you?
Definitely data is probably the greatest challenge. With a lot of these conversations we have, there's a lot of pressure from the board and the C-suite to do something with AI, whether it's generative or agentic, and keep up with the competition. But it's been an interesting last couple of years since ChatGPT exploded onto the scene, and seeing a lot of these businesses pull back and understand that the outcomes they were getting from AI wasn't as accurate as they were hoping. So by integrating their systems and looking at their data layers, they're able to get better outcomes out of those AI systems.
All right, you mentioned retail as one of the use cases. Any other industries that you serve?
We serve a wide variety of industries across the globe, but something I love with integration and Boomi's platform is that it's ubiquitous. We surface thousands upon thousands of different use cases across our 23,000 customers globally, be it in finance, in higher education and utilities and retail. Everybody needs their systems connected together, and everybody needs their business processes automated.
Any specific industries, David, or countries in the region that are emerging as leaders in AI readiness?
I think definitely Singapore is a standout. Some of the things that the Singapore government has been proactive about in terms of regulatory frameworks, ensuring there's strong infrastructure, and having an emphasis on public-private AI partnerships has been key. Australia has also been making strides with some of its recommendations and roadmaps around AI. So we're seeing that again across Southeast Asia. And they're not necessarily adopting global frameworks like the EU AI Act, but they are great starting points. But they need to be localised because Southeast Asia, it has unique socioeconomic dynamics, data sovereignty concerns, and different cultural values. So copying and pasting frameworks without adoption could lead to a lot of friction and non-compliance. So businesses should treat them as global blueprints that are scaffolding and customised depending on what local stakeholders need.
I suspect that a large number of your customer base are established players in their respective industries. But for users or developers just getting started, what makes Boomi different or more approachable than other platforms?
It's the low-code approach. So we especially see this in Southeast Asia as well, where there's a lot of small to medium enterprises, and they often ask the question, how do we start? Not just like with a capability like Boomi, but also with AI. And it's having tools that are low-code, enable you to automate your business processes, quickly and easily integrate systems together, bridge those skill gaps significantly.
So what kind of learning curve should a business user expect when they first adopt Boomi?
So it's really understanding what is your business process, what value are you trying to contribute back to the business, or what business problem are you trying to solve, because that is where the majority of the work is. Once you understand that business process and the use case you want to build out, the data you want to manage, the data you want to secure through APIs, etc., having that low-code capability through a tool like Boomi makes it a lot easier to develop, deploy, and manage.
And in terms of Boomi's community and marketplace, how important are those two things to your platform success?
Very, very important. One of the things I've always loved working with Boomi is our architecture. So for the tech kids out there on the call today, if mentioning single instance multi-architecture, multi-instance might make sense to them. And the idea behind that is that all 23,000 of our customers log into a single platform. And because they do that, they are able to leverage anonymously all the other fantastic work other customers are doing on our platform. And through that metadata is how we have trained the AI agents within our own platform and in our own capabilities. So when a new customer, to one of your earlier questions, comes on board and wants to use our product, they can actually use our design gen agent and through a conversational interface say, hey, I would like to build out an order to cash process, as an example, in the retail sense, and connect my CRM to my ERP. And the agent is able to leverage everything that's been built by our customers in the past, because that's what the model's been trained on, and recommend how to build that integration for you. So that's a fantastic advantage out there in the market.
Yeah, it sounds pretty user-friendly to new customers. Now, from a technologist's perspective, David, where do you see the biggest entrepreneurial opportunity in AI governance and data space right now?
I think for me personally, I still see a huge gap in automating a lot of the risk auditing in AI. So having tools that are able to continuously scan for drift, bias or misuse across some of the AI models that have been deployed. And back to that data conversation, having tools and capabilities that enable smart metadata management. So being able to tag, classify and trace data lineage across systems, that both of those are going to be huge enablers for not only continuing but enhancing the governance conversation.
And final question before we let you go, Gen AI rapidly lowering technical barriers, that's fairly self-evident. Against that backdrop, how can entrepreneurs differentiate themselves in a crowded landscape?
I think today it's about context and credibility. For me, if entrepreneurs who are getting into the space, they should focus on vertical specific solutions. If they have deep domain expertise in finance and retail and manufacturing and supply chain, etc., they'll then be able to build AI capabilities with the security and compliance embedded and required for those industries. So it's not just about who has the flashiest model, it's about who can deliver consistent and measurable outcomes in real business settings.
All right, David, it's been a pleasure to have you on board this morning. Thanks for sharing your time as well as your insights. It's been a pleasure.
No, thank you for having me.
That was David Irecki, Chief Technology Officer for Asia Pacific and Japan at Boomi. Stay with Money FM 89.3.
To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.